Chapter 3. A Missing Keepsake. The following morning, the sun filtered brightly through the sheer lace curtains of room 204. Nancy had spent an enjoyable hour downstairs in the hotel's dining room, savoring a breakfast of fresh cream and wild blueberries while reviewing the notes from her previous case. Yet, the old doorman's warnings about the recent thefts lingered in the back of her mind. Humming a light tune, Nancy unlocked her door and stepped into her room. At first glance, everything appeared exactly as she had left it. The bed was neatly made by the chambermaid, and her smart tweed traveling suit hung impeccably in the wardrobe. But as Nancy walked over to the mahogany vanity table to retrieve her fountain pen, her breath caught. The top vanity drawer was not entirely closed. It sat a fraction of an inch ajar. Nancy always closed drawers completely. It was a precise habit drilled into her by years of careful investigative work. Heart thumping against her ribs, she pulled the drawer wide open. Her leather stationery case was there, and her compact remained untouched. But the small, velvet-lined jewelry box where she kept her most precious items was sitting askew. Nancy opened the velvet box. It was empty. Her cherished gold locket, a beautiful heirloom given to her by her father Carson Drew, containing a delicate photograph of her late mother, was gone. "Oh no," Nancy whispered, a wave of sudden dismay washing over her. But almost instantly, her distress hardened into cool, fierce determination. The thief had struck again, and this time it was personal. Stepping back, Nancy forced herself to look at the room not as a victim, but as a detective. She approached the heavy wooden door and inspected the lock mechanism. There were no signs of splintered wood or a heavy forced entry, but as she leaned closer under the morning light, she spotted something telling. A faint, fresh scratch plinted on the brass surface right around the keyhole. It was a telltale mark left behind by someone using a professional lockpick, or perhaps a poorly aligned master skeleton key. Nancy paced the room, her brow furrowed in deep thought. The chambermaid had already completed her morning rounds, meaning the room had been empty for at least 45 minutes. The thief knew exactly when Nancy would be downstairs for breakfast. This required careful observation. The doorman believed it was someone driven by the hardships of the Depression, Nancy mused aloud, her eyes scanning the floor for any dropped clues. But a desperate amateur doesn't carry a lockpick or hold a master key to the Brunswick's finest suites. A knock at the door broke her concentration. Nancy opened it to find a young bellhop holding a fresh stack of towels. He looked incredibly pale, his hands trembling slightly as he offered a nervous smile. Nancy thanked him politely, taking the towels, but her sharp eyes locked onto his jittery demeanor. Was it just the pressure of the hard times, or did the boy know something about the shadow sweeping through the hotel corridors? Closing the door, Nancy smiled grimly. She was on the case, and she wouldn't rest until the thief was unmasked.